Hello, TopFanRivalry supporters. It is Friday morning, which you know what that means. That means weekly review time. Jackson, you ready to go? Are you ready to talk? Is there any baseball to talk about this week? Has there been anything going on?
No, I don't think I had you for a second there.
Whatever.
Just the league championship series, no big deal.
Yeah, no big, not a big deal. So Jackson, lead us off. What you got for number one?
My number one, uh, I want to talk about the Cleveland Guardians and their comeback win last night. Um,
Do it.
it takes a lot of grit to recover from your closer coming into a big spot and immediately surrendering the game tying home run, then the go ahead home run, and then the Yankees even tacked on an extra run in the ninth inning. But to stay in the game and really believe John Kenske's Noel's massive home run and probably the second greatest bat flip I've ever seen behind Jose Batista. He definitely pimped that one. And, you hit a home run that big, you pimp it, big boy. You know, um, and then, Cleveland being able to execute in extra innings, really, really big, good defense. And then the walk-off home run. I think it's going to put a shot in Cleveland's arm. They looked skittish, I want to say, in the first two games of the series in New York. But I think they really kind of found their footing at the end of game three. And I think it's once again a series. You cannot count the Cleveland Guardians out. I think a lot of people just wrote them off, and the Yankees have 1 foot in the World Series. But the Yankees got to win two more games, so we'll see what happens. But I feel like Cleveland's really kind of shifted the momentum in a really big way after that win last night.
So it happened to be that the Dodgers Mets game was on a commercial break. And so I flipped over to Cleveland, New York. And it was right when Santa Claus came up to hit. And that bat flip, you're not kidding, man.
No.
He looked a little outmatched in the at bat, but he was swinging for the fences. That it was a home run or nothing was what was going to happen.
Oh yeah,
And
and
when he
oof,
connected and just threw that flip or that bat, I'm like, yep,
yeah, and you could tell Luke Weaver out of the hand. That's not where he wanted to throw that 88-mile-an-hour changeup or whatever. It was middle down,
yeah,
and that is not good.
yeah. And if you look at Luke, he doesn't even look back to see where it
No,
goes.
yeah,
He's just like, just give me another ball.
but yeah, that was a really big home run, and from one of the more unique names in baseball. Baseball has a lot of fun names. I think John Kensky Noel is certainly a fun name that people will remember. People remember that home run just for the name alone.
Just for the name alone. Yeah. I like number one. Uh, my number one is going to be the insane video game numbers that Shohei Ohtani is putting up with runners on base. I mean, Jackson, we can laugh about this, but I mean they're video game numbers, right? I mean, I think he's 3 for 24 or something like that with the bases empty.
I think he
But
got his first hit last night was the leadoff home run with nobody on.
okay,
I think that's his only hit without runners on base,
okay, you're
which
right because
is
he walked a couple of
hilarious.
times last night. Yeah, so he's like 1 for 23 or something like that. Um, and then but he's like 7 for 9 with runners on. So
I think it's better than that. I saw it was like he's like maybe it's 10 for 12 or something like that at this point. I have no idea. All I know is he's like 20 for his last 23 with runners on base.
yeah, it's
Something
so
stupid.
so the question gets asked is do you bump him down in the lineup to number two? Um, or what you got to do is you got to put some pressure on guys like Andy Paez and Jackson's new named Kiki Mr. October Hernandez.
I didn't name
Um,
him that.
just teasing, but you got to put some pressure on those 8, 9 batters to get on so that Shohei has somebody to knock around.
I mean, the better question is what's the best spot to put him in the lineup that he's guaranteed to have a runner on? And you saw that the Mets have definitely pitched around him with runners on base because at the way he's hitting right now, I know it's going to sound crazy to pitch the Mookie Betts with runners on rather than Shohei with runners on. It is technically the statistically correct thing to do.
Well, but I mean, first of all, we'll talk about as Big Poppy says, Mook Dog. We'll talk about Mook Dog in a second, but yeah, I mean, and Mookie went yard yesterday too, but yeah, Shohei's putting up video game numbers. He's having fun doing it. It's a whole different vibe. I mean, let's not forget that he played for the Angels for what, 6 seasons? They didn't even come close to sniffing the playoffs. And so it now are it's now one of those things where he's feeling it. He's feeling the vibes of October. You're in a huge city. The weather's cold. It's everything. It's all the things that dreams are made of, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So hit me up with your number two.
My number two, I'm going to talk a little bit about the viewership of these playoffs and how good it has been for baseball. I mean, Game 5 of the NLDS at 7.5 million viewers in the U.S., but 12.9 million viewers in Japan, Bill. And then Game 1 of the NLCS had 8.26 million viewers on average, and it peaked at over 10 million people watching it, which is the most since 2006 for the NL, and then the most since for an LCS game since 2009. When I think the Yankees played the Angels that year in the ALCS, if I'm not mistaken,
ALCS in 2006, I believe so.
or 2009,
Or
ALCS in
2000.
2009.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the year A Rod won LCS MVP, if I'm not mistaken. You can fact check me on that one.
I'm
But
looking it up right now. I'm not trying to fact check you, but I'm looking it up
yeah,
just to make sure.
definitely fact check me if I'm. I think that's yeah, that sounds right.
Let's see. ALCS. Yes, Angels, Yankees.
Yeah. So there you.
MVP of that season or that series was CC Sabathia.
Yes. Now I remember that part. Yeah. So it's really these playoffs have been like you said. It's been fun. It's been exciting. It's been really good for baseball. Who a lot of people as baseball fans have been kind of writing off the sport as outdated, old fashioned, boring, whatever you want. Whatever the haters say. But this is really showing that playoff baseball at its core, at its peak, is this that they can get consistent viewership and it's expanding to the international market. And I think it's really great for the game that there are superstars like Shohei Otani and Aaron Judge,
Mhm.
Francisco Lindor. It's a diverse group of guys from different backgrounds, and it really kind of it gives each team their own. I don't want to say like unique flavor, but like they have their own style. And I like that. We talked about the backflip with my number one, but there's been a lot of style, a lot of swagger in these playoffs, and I think that's what makes baseball fun. It is a game.
Mhm.
So I think going forward, I think this World Series, whatever it shakes out to be, if it's a Subway Series or if the Guardians are back in the World Series, or it's Yankees Dodgers, whatever it may be, I think it's going to be one of the most watched, one of the most remembered World Series from the last little while here.
Yeah, I've been saying this for a long time that the MLB has got their dream, right? They've got their dream because you've got the Guardians who haven't won it since 1948. You've got the team that's won it the
But
most, the
longest
Yankees,
longest drought in the MLB.
right? You got the team that's won it the most in the Yankees. Then you've got the Mets who haven't won it since 1986, but was there in 2015 and 2000. And then you've got another storied franchise in the Dodgers. And so last season you had a number of teams that you're not used to seeing there. Um, yeah. So that
Which
leads me to my number two. But go
yeah,
ahead.
I was gonna say which for the hardcore baseball fans, it didn't really bother us that it was Texas, Arizona. But I had from like a national perspective of the getting the casual baseball fan to watch.
Mhm.
It was really kind of a bummer. It's hard for people. Nobody really knew who Arizona was last year if you didn't watch a ton of baseball. You're like, who are these guys? But yeah, but like you said, this one's brewing to be a spectacle, no matter who it is.
100%. And so which leads me to my number two. Baseball, the casual baseball fan is a very fickle fan, right? And they want the history of it. They want the pizzazz of it. The Texas Rangers went to back-to-back World Series in the 2000s, early 2000s, right? lost both of them. But they kind of became a little bit of a story, right? And then they fell off. And when they fell off the mountain, they really fell off the mountain. They had some really bad teams after that for quite a number of years. Arizona's, they won the World Series in 2001, but they've had a lot of bad seasons. Um, the casual baseball fan isn't used to not hearing the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Red Sox, the Phillies, the Cardinals, right? If you're a team like the Rays, like the Diamondbacks, like the Rockies, like the Royals, you've got to put winning products out there every season. If you want people to watch you and you want that extra pizzazz, you've got to continually put winning teams out there. For example, and no disrespect to this specific team, but the Colorado Rockies have been very bad for a lot of years now. So if they turn it around, if they have another 2 or 3 bad seasons and then turn it around, and let's say in 2029 they make the World Series, and they're playing against a team like Minnesota, who hasn't been in the World Series in a long time. No, the casual fan's not watching that because they're not used to hearing those teams. But if the Rockies can put together, 8 to 10 winning seasons where they're in the playoffs and things like that, you'll get the casual fan really watching and really getting excited. Tell me I'm wrong, Jackson.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And it just shows how hard baseball is. That
Hmm.
you can have, you know, the Diamondbacks made the World Series last year. This year they didn't make the playoffs, even though they played better
Hmm.
in the regular season. That's how hard baseball is, and it's really hard for, I think, a casual fan to understand that, without a salary cap and a salary floor, it gets a little weird when it comes to the small market teams. Because again, you have teams like Tampa Bay, teams like Cleveland, that consistently perform well with low payroll, and then you have teams like Colorado who struggle. You have teams like Miami who struggle with operating in pretty much the same parameters or maybe even better situations. So it's, I think, when you talk about playoff success, like you said, it's about the sustained success, because it's so hard to win a World Series. You just getting in is your best shot, and it's hard for the casual fan to really understand. Oh, the Rockies made that miracle run in '07 and they got swept by the Red Sox. You know, and then we haven't really heard from the Rockies again from a casual fan standpoint. But it's really hard. Baseball's hard, and October baseball is unforgiving. I think if you don't mind, I could segue into number three here.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna talk about execution. Um, we we drill it. It's like we're your coach. We're coaching you guys in baseball. Execution kills you. We've seen it a lot in this Yankees Guardians series and the Dodgers Met series. I'll get to in a second, but the Yankees Guardians series, the first two games, Cleveland looked like the lights were too bright. The defense was shoddy. Uh, a lot of wild pitches in game two, basically let the Yankees just tack on as many insurance runs as they needed. And, they looked out of their depth. And then if you look at game three, I think the Yankees missed a huge opportunity to really break that game open when Jose Trevino got picked off. And you cannot make base running mistakes like that. When you are the catcher, the slowest player on the team, you cannot be picked off at first base when it's first and third, one out. It's unacceptable. You just remove the opportunity for a sacrifice fly for your team. And then you go to the Mets Dodgers series. The Dodgers have been shellacking the Mets because they hit with runners in scoring position. We talked about Shohei being, a video game character when he's at the plate with runners on, but it's execution. The Mets have left tons of runners on base. They've left the bases loaded. I think they left them loaded 3 times last night, at least. So October baseball, it really boils down to the execution. We see that the Dodgers are executing better, and this Guardians Yankees series is turning into the point who can execute better over these next two games in Cleveland. This is going to decide the series. I know it's a dumb and an obvious take. Well, no duh, Jackson. The next two games of the 7-game series are going to decide the series. Yes, they are. But that's my thing to watch for. Heading into this weekend is which team can execute it better. Who hits with runners in scoring position? Who makes the right defensive plays? And who runs the bases the best? is going to make it to the World Series.
So the yes. And so this is my pet peeve with what you said, like not with what you said, but with what the execution is. October, everything is magnified by 10, right? Um, because people are playing tight. They're not playing loose. We saw last night in the Dodgers game, the Dodgers were playing very loose. The Mets were playing very tight. The Mets understood that it was a must win last night for them. They understood that it was a must win, and they got shellacked 10-2. But if you can't execute in the postseason, you're in trouble. And I'll go back to the Mets Milwaukee game after Pete Alonso hit the home run and Sterling Marte. Uh, there's a runner on second. Sterling Marte gets a base hit, and they throw through to try to get the guy at home. And Sterling Marte takes second. Though the Mets didn't capitalize on that, it still hurt them. It still hurt them. And so you can't do that. I like that, Jackson. I like that
Yeah.
that call.
So sorry everyone. I was in a little bit of a rant mood today, so I probably just talked for like 5 minutes straight. I apologize, but
No,
here we are.
you're great. You're great. So okay, so here's the other thing that um you segued perfectly. I got some honorable mentions, but here's my number three. Everything in baseball, and I know everybody's gonna say, oh, well, it's the offense, it's the offense. It's pitching. If you can't pitch, you cannot win. I don't care if you can score 9 runs a game. If you give up 10 runs a game, ask the New York Yankees of the 2018 season. They were averaging massive amounts of runs, but they couldn't pitch. And they figured out in 2009, hey, we got to go out and pitch so that we can win this thing. This would be, you know, this is going to be a good thing. So here's my number three: pitching, 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 pitching. That being said, that being said, um, pitching is key. And the biggest concern as a Dodger fan that I had was pitching. Apparently not in the postseason. We had that run of 33 scoreless innings. The Mets, for example, had that one very, very good game where they scored 7 runs. Now, Jackson, you're talking about execution. That's true. But so they scored 7 runs in game two. Game one, the Mets scored nothing. Game two, they scored seven. Game three, they scored nothing. Game four, they scored two. So the Dodgers have held the Mets in 27 innings, excluding game two, in 27 innings to 2 runs. That's pitching.
But yeah, it goes to the point though. The Dodgers are executing on defense better, and when the Mets get runners on base, the Dodgers pitchers are out executing. They're making their pitches to get outs. You know, and what I've seen from the Mets in this series is they've reverted to what for me is the kiss of death in the playoffs, which is hero ball. When runners get on base, you start swinging for the fences. In the playoffs, you only need to scrape one or two across when you get runners on base. You don't
Mhm.
need to go for, the Mets had that big 6 run inning in game two, and it kind of feels like they're going for that every time they get runners on base. No,
Yeah.
you need to chip and chisel away at the bullpen, at the arms, because if you can string base runners together like the Dodgers have, stuff happens.
Chip and chisel. I like that term.
Chip,
Chip
chip
and
and chip,
chisel.
yeah, chip and chisel. You're crafting a work of art.
Yeah.
Don't rush it.
Um,
Yeah, this is playoff. The other team's really good. You can't expect to hit home runs off the best pitchers in the league. At, at, at
1000%.
at this
All the
stage
time.
at this stage in the playoffs, I mean, I know the Mets bullpen can be suspect, but even I don't think the Dodgers hitters can go up there and expect to hit a home run every time they go to the plate against the Mets bullpen. It's not like they're a bunch of
1000%.
scrubs. They made it to the LCS. They're good enough. So yeah, that's my piggyback comment on that.
So do you have any honorable mentions?
Uh, rejoice, White Sox fans. Your owner might sell the team,
It might happen.
and
It might happen. I don't think that he really wants. He's kind of a staple in Chicago's. I don't think that he wants to, but yeah,
So you're telling me there's a chance?
you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then my other one is Tampa Bay's field in St. Petersburg is absolutely destroyed. It is 9 figures worth of damage. So Oakland, you have the chance to do the funniest thing right now. And I heard there's an open stadium.
yeah. There's been a lot of people that have talked about that, and that is so funny. If that happens, that will be so funny. Um, I don't know. I don't see that happening, but we'll see. I
Yeah,
mean,
they'll probably play somewhere in Florida. Again, uh, hope everyone's safe out in Florida. I know you're still cleaning up.
yeah,
But hopefully the Rays have somewhere to play come opening day because it's not going to be at the Trop.
no. Okay, so I have two honorable mentions.
All right.
Number one, again, video game numbers. Max Muncy, 11 at bats in a row where he's getting on base, either by a hit or by a walk, which is huge because he has been somewhat radio silent for the last month and a half. Occasionally a hit here or there, whatever, but somewhat silent for the last month and a half. And so I like this. That's one of my honorable mentions. My second,
That's a good shout out. It's tied with the all time postseason record.
no, it's not.
Or
No,
is
it's
it
not.
one? Oh, is it one behind Reggie Jackson?
Nope, it's one above Reggie Jackson.
One above
Reggie
Reggie.
had 10.
Reggie had 10. All right.
Reggie had 10, yeah.
Getting
Yeah.
my numbers mixed up this morning.
And so yeah, they showed it the stat last night. I'm like, I gotta use this. If Jackson doesn't mention this, I'm gonna use this. This is I'll look
I
like the top fan stats guy for 19 seconds. Um
yes. I'll make you a sash.
the,
Honorary top fan stats guy.
I'll look good at it. Okay. And then the other honorable mention that I have is the MVP of the playoffs, the MVP of the championship series right now, to me. Ready?
Mm.
David Ortiz. This guy is hilarious
I was gonna
in
say
the
he's
post game
unstoppable. He
interview.
retires. He's gonna win another one. That's not fair. Come
I
on.
mean, listen, and I want one of those my dog shirts. I want one of those. Somebody get David Ortiz on the horn. Get me a my dog shirt. I'll wear it all over Top Fan. Um, I love the fact that he's a Mook Dog, and he gives him a my dog shirt, right? With him pointing to the heavens after a home run and all this stuff. David Ortiz is hilarious. Derek Jeter took the cake though on Wednesday night because Derek Jeter says to Kiki Hernandez, ask him a question about, something about different teams. And Kiki is looking at the microphone and goes, how do I say this without pissing other fans off or pissing other team fans off? And Derek Jeter goes, we're live, we're live, we're live. All
Yeah, he does.
Kiki
And then
Hernandez,
he
you
does it
know,
anyways.
yeah, all Kiki Hernandez saying what he said when they were live. So, anyways, good times, ladies and gentlemen. It October baseball is supposed to be fun, but for a lot of people, it's stressful. For the players, it's stressful. For the fans, it's stressful. It's supposed to be fun because, let's be honest, Jackson, the World Series starts in 1 week from today. In 2 weeks from today, the MLB season is over, and every ballpark will be dark. Every ballpark you'll be looking at fall leagues and just different things, um, and then by January, everybody's counting down the days till spring training, right? If you're, a club that has struggled this season, the Rockies, the A's, the Angels, you name it, the White Sox, the season's been over for a long time, and you just want to hit a reset button. But I mean, in 2 weeks, Jackson and I will be on here telling you history things and facts and having guests on, and yeah, it's gonna be fun. But yep, yep.
Yeah. All right. I think we covered everything this week.
I do too. So
All
Top
right.
Fan Rivalry supporters, we appreciate you. Enjoy the week. You'll know by the time we get together again, we'll know who's in the World Series, right?
Mhm.
Right now it's trending Yankees, Dodgers, but that is subject to change. So yep, yep, yep.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Jack Jackson, let's do it again next week.
All right. Yeah. Sounds good. See you then.